Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're, hold on. I think I'm getting a call. City Morgue? I'm just kidding. This isn't a real phone. Orange, you glad you clicked on this video? Laugh. Now. Okay. You get to live for now. And that's just as well, because I actually need your help with something. You see, I've been planting my backyard garden for a while now, trying to get ready for the spring. I used to have one in my old house, you're probably seeing footage of that right now. But while I've been setting it up, it's gotten me thinking a lot about the produce that we eat. I feel like it's something most of us never really think much about, the fact that we can just go to the store any time of year and pick out whatever produce we want to eat at that moment. And the fact that, yet, even though we have this seemingly endless ability to choose, we still end up cycling through the same 5 or 6 fruits all of our lives. You know, the ones that have an Animal Crossing, oranges, apples, peaches, you get it.
Shout out to all the pear.
And it may not really seem like it, but the year-round availability of just a few specific crops is something that's probably going to have to change if we want to continue to live on this earth. So today I'm taking the first step. I grabbed every fruit I could get my hands on, yes, even these, and we're going to see if we can find something that'll really diversify our produce portfolio. The first issue with the way that we get our produce is that we basically expect the same stuff to be available all year. Sure, you might hear that something is in season from time to time, but that usually just means that it'll probably taste better or cost less. The reality is that most fruits and nuts have harvest windows that are really only a couple weeks long every year. And that means historically, strawberry season didn't just mean you'd have to pay a little bit more for a strawberry that was a little less sweet. It meant you just couldn't really get strawberries until like the next year. Now, modern day supply chains can get around this seasonality problem relatively easily because the way that Earth's seasons work, it's bound to be strawberry season somewhere. Shout out Jimmy Buffett. All it is a matter of shipping strawberries from that place where it is strawberry season to a place where it's not strawberry season anymore. Hence the higher prices when things are out of season in your local area. This also means that produce is being moved across hemispheres almost constantly, which, as you can imagine, means that getting those grapes to you in the winter has a heavy carbon footprint. Some growers can use artificial climate control like greenhouses to get around their geographical limitations, but these methods also increase prices and still utilize a ton of energy, even if the food doesn't have to travel very far to get it to the stores. So how do we do this sustainably then? Are we just supposed to get by without the fruits that we're used to for most of the year? Honestly, maybe. But don't panic, this isn't as big of an ask as you think it might be. See, earlier I said that most fruits and nuts can only be harvested a few weeks out of the whole year. What I didn't mention is that most of the fruits and nuts we eat today come in a number of different varieties, all of which have different harvest windows, many of which are overlapping. Take apples for instance. Some of the earliest ripening varieties begin to enter their harvest windows in early June, and the latest ripening varieties are still in their harvest windows all the way into early November. Now, this diagram from Dave Wilson Nursery is mainly targeted towards a place just outside of Modesto, California, but there's harvest charts like this for every location in the world, basically. Now, I know that not every variety is going to do well in shipping or produce well enough to be commercially viable, but theoretically, we could have fresh apples 5 months out of the year. We could preserve a lot of these apples in things like canned produce and, the little Mott's cups that you get with the syrup and stuff in it. Not to mention the fact that it's actually common practice for grocery stores to store whole fresh apples in certain conditions for up to a year before selling them. So we could honestly get by doing this in every location where apples can grow. The only thing we would need to do is expand the number of varieties of apples that we eat. Which, speaking of, sounds like a good time as any to head over to the kitchen for some sampling. Welcome to the new kitchen. Today I've brought a ton of new fruits for us to sample, so hopefully, we can all find something that we want to add to our diets going forward. Ugh. This is what we're working with today. We'll start with something that's probably very familiar to you, the humble apple. For as long as I've been alive, there's been a ton of different apple varieties to choose from, each one of them even marketed by their own names in basically every supermarket you go into. Today I have a Honeycrisp apple and a Granny Smith apple, two opposite ends of the apple flavor spectrum. Now, I'm probably not going to cut into this Honeycrisp right now because I'm pretty sure we all know what a sweet red apple tastes like. Also, this is my wife's favorite, so I'll probably just save that for her for later. But I will rip into this Granny Smith and see what that's all about. Yeah, I mean, it's tart. It's good. Obviously, there's a reason people don't eat them like just out of hand like this. I think it's more like a cooking apple. That's correct. Apparently, Granny Smith apples just kind of sprung up when an Australian woman dumped a bunch of crab apples in her yard and started baking with the apples that grew from the seeds. The Honeycrisp apple, on the other hand, was part of a breeding program at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, and it was bred more for its flavor when eaten fresh. But no matter where they came from, both of them are part of a long list of apple varieties, of which you probably have a couple favorites of your own. And to the apple's credit, it's one of the only crops that I've seen people eat a wide variety of pretty regularly. I think that's the start of the model that we should be after with all the other staple fruits in our diet. Let's move on to another fruit, or really family of fruits, that has a couple different varieties out there on the grocery store shelves. It's time to talk about citrus. Now, when I say varieties, for citrus, mostly stores kind of just try and separate out which actual fruit they're talking about, right? I mean, like when you go and pick one out, they have the limes separate from the lemons and the oranges separate from the grapefruits, so on and so forth. But even more than that, I've actually started to see some name varieties of each individual fruit starting to make the rounds around the produce section. So let's head back to the kitchen and see if we can sample some of them. Time for the next group, the citrus. Now, typically when you go to the store to grab an orange, you're probably gonna end up grabbing something called a Washington navel orange. They have the belly button like structure on the bottom there. Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. I'm not gonna waste this by cutting into it right now. Wait till I can, eat the whole thing. But that's a Washington navel. If you didn't know, that's what you're eating most of the time. More recently, though, I've noticed some other cultivars of navel oranges going on sale. More specifically, stuff like this Cara Cara navel orange. They also have that navel at the bottom, like their name suggests. But apparently they're supposed to be a little bit more red inside, and they might taste a little bit more like berries, I guess. Also, apparently the juice is not as acidic as the Washington navel, so it's gonna be like a very sweet juice. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what the cross section looks like. I don't know, looks like an orange to me. The good thing is just like the Washington navel, it is seedless, so. I mean, it is a little tart. It's definitely a lot sweeter than like a regular orange. Like there's not a lot of like bite to it, but it's not like without acid at all. I think it's good. I think you really can't go wrong with an orange. So, 10 out of 10 for that one. Let's move on to the next one. Next up is the tangerine. Now I have a lot to say about the name of this particular fruit, but I don't really have the energy right now to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and let in-studio Aaron handle that right now. You may have seen a tangerine in a store before, although that name might not mean much to you. I mean, it's a tangerine, who gives a fuck? Apparently a lot of people do. Tangerine is actually either its own species of citrus closely related to mandarins or just a variety of mandarin itself. Of course, it all depends on who you ask. It's very contentious though. It's something like all tangerines are mandarins, but not all mandarins are tangerines. Something square rectangle. Things tend to get even messier on supermarket shelves though, because just about everyone I know refers to anything like a tangerine, mandarin, whatever, anything small and orange as mandarin oranges, which technically do not exist. See, mandarins are actually one of the original species of citrus, while oranges are a product of a cross between one of the mandarin's descendants and a grapefruit. For whatever reason, supermarkets really don't feel like making the distinction here. Probably because it doesn't matter that much. But to make matters worse, those cuties that people buy, the little clementines, turns out they just stuff whatever in those bags, whatever mandarin, clementine, anything really that's small and orange that will be in season at that time. They'll just put it in there because they don't even care. I'm not sure why we refused to classify these fruits for so long, but what do I know? Okay, so now that that's over with, let's go ahead and rip into this thing and see how it is. Supposedly these are pretty easy to peel, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and do that without cutting. Now they had this one for sale as something called a Juicy Crunch Tangerine. Seems like relatively new cultivar that they're trying to sell to the consumer as something, I don't know, sexy, I guess. Kind of like Charred Bodies from Parks and Rec.
Charred Bodies, get a chard on?
Let's get me charted in here!
Now, I don't remember if this one has seeds or not. It probably has like small seeds. We'll go ahead and try one. Wow, that is incredibly sweet. Like there's zero bite to that at all. That's really good though. It is just pure sweetness. There's no acidity to it. It's just sugar. So, I mean, market it however you want. Juicy Crunch, whatever this is supposed to be. I might have to pick a couple more of these up. There's one that we really like already. Let me clean this out of the way and then we'll move on to the next one. Finally, we have a Tangelo, which is a cross between the tangerine we just ate and something called a pomelo, which is a behemoth of a fruit. I thought about getting one for this video, but I don't know, man. Some of the stuff is pretty expensive when you charge by the pound. So we're just gonna go ahead and try this real quick. This is actually a name variety. It's called a Mineola Tangelo. So it's another one like any type of apple, like a pink lady or a, you know, gala apple. I think these might be peelable too, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this one down the middle. There's your cross section. Yeah, first thing I noticed is that there's not a lot holding me back from biting through that. It's really just like, whatever they're called, the little segments in here, they're very loose. Like your teeth go through them like butter. It is the most acidic that I've had so far. I guess that's the pomelo that's being crossed in there. I mean, it's not bad. It's just you know, if you want something with a little bit of tartness to it, that's where you're definitely going. We also have stuff like this lime that I'm not going to bite into right now, but you know, there's a couple different kinds of limes out there, key limes, Persian limes like this one is. So yeah, you've probably tried a couple of citrus fruits in your life, and it's great that more and more named varieties are getting put on store shelves because we can extend our growing seasons even more by including different varieties in our diets. What's even better about citrus though is that they ripen over the winter months when not much else is coming into season, so they can really hold us over and prevent scurvy or whatever they're for in the winter, which is cool. But now I want to talk about another familiar fruit that is in desperate need of some variety in our diets. Let's go bananas for the banana. Peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly. I'm sure you've always just kind of known bananas as bananas. That's what they sell them as, just like bananas, and then I guess organic bananas. You might have seen a plantain every once in a while, but if you're not eating those chips, you probably haven't tried one either. But odds are, if you've eaten a banana in the last, I don't know, 60 years, you probably had a Cavendish banana. And I don't blame you. The Cavendish banana makes up over 47% of the bananas produced around the world and close to 99% of bananas that are exported to other countries. If you need some perspective on just how crazy that number is, the most popular apple, the Gala apple, makes up just 20% of the world's apple production. What can I say? We like what we like. The downside of this is that, like most bananas, the Cavendish banana is propagated by cloning, cutting off suckers at the base of established banana trees, and then just simply replanting them around your banana farm or taken and sold off to other banana farms. This means that each Cavendish banana tree is essentially genetically identical to the last. If a disease were to target the Cavendish banana, it wouldn't take long to wipe out the entire population because if one of them is susceptible to it, all of them will be, most likely. Not only has this happened before, when the Gros Michel banana, or the Big Mike banana for our American friends, was essentially wiped out by Panama disease in the 1950s. But now there is a new strain of Panama disease that affects Cavendish bananas, and it's spreading rapidly across the globe. This is another big reason why we need to diversify the types of fruits that we eat, even among the same species. Diversity is good for agriculture, and we might be forced to move on sooner rather than later anyway. So let's check back in the kitchen and see if there's a worthy replacement for the banana that we all grew up with. Let's go bananas. Peanut butter jelly. Let's just have a regular banana and see how it is. You know, I think honestly, like I think bananas are one of my favorite fruits. Like whenever we get a bunch of bananas, I will just eat all of them like in one sitting. So it's good that I got a bunch. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a banana. It's not all the way ripe yet. It's still a little green, but I mean, I'll eat these things no matter what color they are. It doesn't matter. I love them.
What do you mean by that?
Also, I am aware that eating a banana online is internet suicide, but I do what I can for you guys. All right, next up, we have the burro banana. Now, that is a donkey banana for our American friends, yes. I think that's supposed to be a French accent when I wrote it in the script. I've heard this is very popular among dragons. So apparently this kind of banana is supposed to have some sort of tang to it, like almost like a sweet lemon. And I got these, they look kind of like that they're ended their shelf life, but apparently the darker the peel, the sweeter they get. So I guess I ended up getting these at the right time after all. But I'm really excited to try these because the banana is a banana, right? Like it tastes like a banana, but I don't know, you know, maybe there's something more out there. Maybe there's a different type of banana that I'll love even more than these bananas. It's opening now. So yeah, right off the bat, it is mushy and like very firm to the touch. But hey, we came here to try these bananas. We're gonna try these bananas. There's definitely like more flavor than a regular banana here. The seeds I think are a little bit bigger, maybe is what's throwing me off a little bit. It is also like a bit more effort to chew through. You know, it's not bad. It's definitely a different experience. You know, it's almost like a custard-like consistency, you know? Like it's just kind of The outside of it is kind of soft, and there's like a little bit of a core running down the middle, where I guess like the seeds are. That's a little bit like not as palatable to me, but apparently these are like served savory. Like in the cultures that eat these a lot, like they usually cook these with savory meals. I guess because they're like a lot firmer, like they hold up better to cooking, which is cool. I definitely would like to try that if I had a plan before doing this, or if I had more of them, I guess. Like maybe I'll see if I can do something with this later on, but yeah, not bad overall. Now this right here is the manzano banana, aka the apple banana for our American friends. Now these are obviously much smaller than regular bananas, or Cavendish bananas, sorry. Apparently it's supposed to have a flavor profile like an apple or a strawberry, so a bit sweeter than a regular banana. Although I don't know, I've found as I get older, like the more and more tasting notes I'm supposed to detect, the more and more I think people are just making it up. Especially with like coffee or anything like that, where it doesn't taste anything like what you're supposed to be tasting. I don't know, man, it just tastes like coffee to me. And a lot of times, that's the case for these. Like it just tastes like bananas to me. These are also apparently best when the peels are a bit darker. So we'll try and grab one the closest to that point. I don't know if I have one that's like a super obvious winner for that. And these are just like a regular Cavendish. So they're not like cooked or anything. Like you can just use these in your desserts, or you just eat them raw. They're obviously very cute, very small. Let's see. Again, much like, you can see the bite I took of that, like much firmer than any of the ones that I've had so far. I think this one might be a little bit unripe still. I might let these sit for a long time. There is something else to this though. Yeah, again, it has that like that chalky interior there. Sorry if this is disgusting, me showing you my food, but like you can see like the outside is gooey a little bit and the inside is chalky, where like the seeds would be, I guess. Which I guess is why this is so popular, is because they've like obliterated the seeds in this one, right? I don't know. These are not so bad. Like this one leaves a weird taste in my mouth, like it's like coating my tongue. But again, I can't tell if that's because it's like underripe or because it's just the way that these types of bananas are. These finally are red bananas, aka Roja bananas for our American friends, because I live in Houston and we're all on this together, baby. Okay, so these are just like the Cavendish as well. You're supposed to eat these fresh, but they're also supposed to have more of like a berry-like profile, or I suppose a more traditionally berry-like profile, since bananas are technically berries, but that's neither here nor there for this video. I don't really know what these are supposed to look like when they're ripe. They feel pretty firm, so maybe I'll just find the one that has the most give to it. All right, so already, like looking into it, I can see that this one is mostly like a custardy feel at the top. But again, it looks pretty mealy. I don't know if it's just because it's underripe again or what, but we will try it. All right, let's see. You know what's interesting is like the peel is so thick that's actually like bleeding right now, which is not something I've ever experienced with another type of banana. You know what, actually for the first time, I am getting that berry taste in my mouth. And this is definitely like the closest to like the consistency of a banana that I'm used to. Like you can see it's mushy all the way through. Don't get me wrong, it's subtle, the flavor. I mean, if you're used to eating bananas, I guess you're not looking for anything that's gonna like explode in your mouth or anything like that. Sorry, poor choice of words. But like, you know, it's not anything that's gonna be like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm eating a blueberry right now. But it definitely is more fruity than like a regular banana. Again, poor choice of words. But that's the bananas. Okay, so we've tried a few new twists on a couple old favorites, but is there anything else out there? You're telling me this earth stretches farther in every direction than you and I can imagine, and I've tried all the fruits there are? Not so fast, because there are more out there, and we have to try them. Because not only will our diets be more well-rounded the more types of fruits we eat, but again, we'll have more options if we're pursuing this sustainability challenge where we only eat things that are in season. Say you haven't found all the fruits you need to carry you through a full calendar year. Maybe we should start looking at some stuff that you may not have heard of before. Let's head back to the kitchen. Let's get into the stuff that maybe you don't eat every day, maybe that you haven't heard of before. Now, these are mangoes. I'm pretty sure you've heard of these before. You know, I grew up eating mangoes like all the time. Mangos for our American friends. Probably my favorite fruit, honestly. But it turns out my wife had never really had them much, which was strange to me. So I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but definitely need to try some. This is like a larger mango that you're probably used to seeing a lot. I think this is something like a Glen mango, one of those varieties. But these I've seen pop up a lot. The Atalfo mangoes, they are very cheap at my grocery store and they are so good. Let's try it. This one might not be all the way ripe. It's pretty tart. I mean, it's still like creamy smooth, so good and so easy to eat, but it's very tart. I should have waited a little bit longer to eat this. All right, next up are these weird looking fruits. Now you might be thinking, Aaron, we already did apples. Why do you have two more in front of us? And I thought I'd say, hey, why don't you shut up for a second and let me explain before you jump down my throat. These two fruits are called Asian pears. Well, technically this one was sold to me as a sand pear, and now that I'm looking at the label, it says crown pear. So I'm not entirely sure what this thing is, but I know that sand pear is a different name for an Asian pear. And really both of them can be known as apple pears because that's really what they are. They're pears that eat like apples. So again, in the spirit of not wasting food, I'm gonna save this until I can eat it in its entirety. And I'm gonna try this one because I'm not sure what it is exactly. Now, something that I've been told to do is to peel the skin off. I probably won't do that. I'll just cut a slice and eat from the inside. But this is also supposed to have red flesh apparently. So let's see if we can get that cross section for you. I suppose a little bit red, a little bit of tint there, but not really at all. I think this was mixed up there at the grocery store. But yeah, looks like just a standard Asian pear. You can see it like cuts like an apple, but the inside looks like pear flesh. That is super sweet. You're fine to eat the skin, but as I bend it, the flesh inside is cracking. The skin on the back, barely even budging. So I think it's very tough. I can try some. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. I think you're better off either peeling it or just eating from the middle. It's like a pear mixed with a grape, you know? It's very sweet. But I love Asian pears. Like, I hadn't ever really had one until I considered planting one in my garden. I cannot wait to have them regularly because they are so good. So if you're looking for something to try from this video, Asian pears, they're a little bit more pricey, but I do think that like if you're used to eating like pears, apples, you know, peaches, plums, like all the standard fare for Americans, I think this is probably like gonna get you the closest. It's really good. Next up, this is a persimmon. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit worried to eat this. Apparently, all persimmons are divided into two types, astringent and non-astringent, and supposedly the astringent forms are not very good for eating until they're like mushy soft. This one is sort of like, I can definitely press in the sides, but it's not like mushy. I've also like had one of these before in college and I didn't love it, but you know, I'm willing to try anything for you guys. And it's not labeled, so I'm hoping that they would go for the non-astringent one just because that seems more accessible to especially Americans. But let me just cut a piece off here and see. This is not the most appealing fruit on the inside. Like, it's very mottled and whatever, but hey, bottoms up. You know what? That is not so bad. That's honestly better than the last time I had it. If you're a texture guy, like if you're someone who's like gets weirded out by textures, I wouldn't recommend it. It's very, like you can see as I squish it, like it kind of like flexes that little like, whatever, the little structures it has there. It eats almost like a mushroom. You know how it kind of like crushes or like crumbles away as you eat it. Yeah, this one's very juicy and it tastes, it's probably like either like the color or actually like the beta carotene, but it tastes like a very, 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 very sweet carrot. It doesn't taste like a carrot really, but that's kind of like the image that comes to my head is like a carrot that is very sweet. It does taste like a fruit per se. And I think that like some of these species are native to America. So I think if I was gonna plant one in my yard, I don't know if I would hate it. Like I think that you can honestly prepare it like a bunch of different ways. I think people make like preserves and stuff out of this and I wouldn't be mad at it. I don't know about like eating fresh like this though. Again, the texture for me, not really a big mushroom guy, and that's kind of the first thing that it reminded me of whenever I put it in my mouth. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's not so bad. All right, you've definitely seen this one before. This is a red dragon fruit. It's actually a white dragon fruit. It's white flesh on the inside. Now this one, the dragon fruit or the pitaya, has been very popular in Asia for a long time. It's been making the rounds in the West thanks to its inclusion in things like the dragon drink from Starbucks and every single smoothie bowl that's over $20 in America. Now I've heard for these to ship well, they need to be picked like well before they're actually ripe on the vine. And because of that, this is probably not gonna taste like a whole lot. But yeah, we'll cut into this and see. Apparently like the white fleshed dragon fruits are also the least flavorful. So I don't know, we're kind of in for it. But I mean, hey, look at that color on the outside. This thing, you can't deny, it looks like it should taste like $1 million. And you know, the crazy thing is this is $1.97 a pound. Like that's how in demand this thing is now. Like the thing about stuff like this is that the more that you order things and people at the grocery stores realize, hey, there's a market for this, the larger orders they can place for these things, and therefore the less expensive it is for each one of these individually you buy. I remember there was a time where these were $5 a pound. I went and picked this up today for like $1.79 a pound. It's ridiculous. But hey, it's proof that this kind of thing works. So if you find something you like, you know, don't be afraid to buy it every time you go out. Even if it's a little bit pricier, it may come down as you keep buying it. Oof. I mean, hey, even if it doesn't taste great, like, there's nothing in this world that looks like that. That is gorgeous. Let me grab a spoon for this. Cheers. It doesn't taste like nothing, that's for sure. It's actually really, really flavorful. Like, the flesh itself is very tangy, like almost citrusy. The seeds, when you bite into them right now, they're a little bit like vegetal. Like, I don't know, they definitely bring the flavor down a little bit. But yeah, it almost tastes like a kiwi. Like, that's almost exactly what it tastes like the kiwi seeds. That's the sensation I'm getting when I eat the dragon fruit seeds. It's like a less tart, slightly less sweet kiwi, basically. Not bad. All right, last but not least, this is another fruit I tried growing myself. It's a carambola, or a star fruit for our American friends. Honestly, I think this one is gonna be big in smoothie bowls if it's not already. I mean, just look at that cross section, man. I mean, yeah, that's gonna go crazy on the gram. Are you kidding me? Now, first and foremost, with these, a little bit of safety notes, which is strange for this kind of video, but if a doctor has advised you, wow, that smells so good. It smells like a candle, but it's like so good. Now, anyways, before I got distracted, if a doctor has advised you to stay away from things like grapefruit because they might interfere with your medication, stay away from this as well. This also has similar effects to grapefruit on any type of medications that you might be taking. Again, I'm not a doctor, consult your doctor about that, but that's just what I've heard. Also, if you have kidney disease, you should probably steer clear of this kind of fruit, the star fruit. It has high levels of oxalate, which is one of the main contributors to kidney stones. So if you don't want kidney stones or you already have kidney disease, I would steer clear. But again, consult your medical professional before you take any advice from some guy on YouTube. That being said, the green parts of the fruit are supposed to be the highest in oxalate content. Luckily for me, like this fruit here, like the edges are already browned. That's where you would see the greener parts of the fruit. And in that case, you would just say, like, you know, trim it right off. You don't need to eat that part. But since this one is, you know, browning on the edges already, I think we're good to go. Just gonna cut this up a little bit. All right. Cheers. I mean, it's good. It's the skin is a little bit tougher. I don't know if it's just overripe or what. It's a little bit rubbery in your mouth. Nothing too crazy though. The taste is like if a pineapple lost a lot of its acidity. I don't know if, again, this one's just overripe, like it's starting to ferment on the edges or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not unlike an orange, you know. It doesn't taste that much different than an orange. This is a fun little fruit to throw in your smoothies, honestly, like, or in your smoothie bowls. I think it's great. I think that this one is a little bit rough on the edges, but the ones that I've had in the past have been really good. So that's the star fruit. And I think that's all from me in the kitchen. So back to me in the studio. Look, guys, I'm well aware that things like this are super logistically complex and that huge changes to supply chains as crucial as this are going to take some time. That being said, I've been wanting to branch out and just try some new things for a while now, and I figured, hey, maybe someone might see this video, see something they want to try, and we can all be along for the ride together. So if you saw something you want to go take a look at, make sure you let me know in the comments below. I said I needed your help earlier, and there's 3 ways that I think we can do some good after having watched this video. The first thing is to try and buy fruits that are in season. Now, I know that's a big ask, so maybe just try and do the best you can and really take it easy on yourself. But the reason that fruits are available all year round is because there's a demand for them all year round. Any decrease at all in demand during those off periods would be a small step towards decreasing imports during those times as well. The second thing is to just try something new next time you go to the grocery store. I know produce can be pricey sometimes, but if you have room in your budget, I'd suggest grabbing something you saw in this video, or hey, maybe you see something completely different that interests you. Just try something new every once in a while. See if you can add it to your diet. Even if you don't love what you pick out, at least you can say you've tried it before. And hey, who knows? Maybe you like it so much that you single-handedly cause the store near you to order so much extra of whatever fruit you pick out that it lowers the price for others who are maybe just waiting for that price to come down to try it as well. The last thing I'd say is just try and grow a little bit of your own food at home. It doesn't have to be much. Maybe it's just a small little pot of basil on your windowsill. It'll change your perspective when it comes to grocery shopping or food waste or anything like that. And it'll also give you a greater appreciation for what it takes to feed this planet. And hey, added bonus, you're not going to be racking up a lot of food miles if your food is in your own backyard. But that's all for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name has been Aaron Trevino. I hope you guys like the new setup. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Again, if you find something in this video that you want to try, or you just pick out something else random at the store, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to go on this journey with you. And if you like this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next upload. I'm sorry it's been a while since I posted a video. It's taken us a little while to get settled into the new house. As you can tell, the studio here is still a work in progress, but I'm so excited to see what this year brings for the channel, and I can't wait to experience it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.